Ever thought about the hidden stories locked within old buildings? Prepare to be amazed as a man pushes open the creaking doors of an abandoned stable, uncovering something absolutely unbelievable. The sound of splintering wood echoed through the dry hills of rural Spain. Carlos froze, hands gripping the rusty barn door handle. The stable had been theirs for only a few days, and here he was, already damaging it. He shot a nervous glance at his sister Camino, standing a few steps behind. "Oh no," she murmured, wide-eyed. "Did we just damage a historic building?" Before Carlos could respond, the stubborn door groaned, finally giving way with a puff of dust and stale air. It slid open, revealing the dark, abandoned interior. For a moment, they stood in silence, hearts pounding. Architects, not treasure hunters, they weren't prepared for what lay ahead. But the pull of the unknown was irresistible. "Should we go in?" Camino whispered. Carlos took a steadying breath. "We didn't come all this way to stop now." As they stepped into the dim light filtering through the cracked walls, their eyes widened in wonder. "Carlos," Camino said softly, her voice filled with awe, "I think we just found something incredible." Carlos turned to her, his face lit with excitement. "This is more than we ever imagined." As they explored the stable, they began to see how unique it was. The ground floor, where animals once sheltered during winter, was vast and open. Camino noticed old feeding troughs along one wall, while Carlos admired the thick stone walls. "People don't build like this anymore," he said. "Can you imagine what this place was like when it was full of animals?" Carlos asked, his voice echoing in the empty space. Camino smiled, her mind already racing with ideas. "Forget the past, bro," she said. "Think about the future. This ground floor could be an amazing open living room, and those lots up there," she pointed to the upper level where hay had been stored, "would be perfect for bedrooms with awesome views." As they continued exploring, the brother and sister discovered something that would become the highlight of their renovation: a natural spring bubbling up just outside the back wall of the stable. The previous owners had cleverly built a stone trough along the side of the building to collect the water. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Camino said, her eyes lighting up with excitement. Carlos smiled, already on the same page. "A water feature running through the house and into a natural pool? That's genius." But their excitement quickly faded as they realized how massive the project was. The stable was sturdy, but it was far from livable. There was no electricity, no plumbing, and it was in a remote location. They'd have to get really creative to make it work. Sensing her brother's hesitation, Camino placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember what Dad always said, the bigger the challenge, the sweeter the victory." Carlos finished, smiling. "You're right, this is going to be our masterpiece." With renewed determination, they began making plans. They spent hours sketching ideas, debating design choices, and imagining how they could blend modern comforts with the rustic charm of the old building. As the sun set, painting the sky in vibrant colors, Carlos and Camino stood in the doorway, thinking about the task ahead. It was daunting, but the possibilities felt endless. They decided to call it a day. They carefully locked the old door, promising to return the following day. On their way home, Camino nudged her brother with a grin. "Are we really doing this?" Carlos thought about the stable, its old stone glowing warmly in the fading light. He considered the challenges ahead, but also the incredible potential. With a big grin, he turned to his sister and said, "Absolutely. Let's turn this abandoned stable into something truly breathtaking." When they got home, they barely slept that night, their minds racing with possibilities. By dawn, they were already on their way back to the stable, armed with measuring tapes, notebooks, and plenty of coffee. As they walked through the doors, the stable looked even more magical in the soft morning light. All the details they had noticed before stood out even more clearly, and the place seemed full of endless possibilities. Carlos looked at Camino, his face glowing with excitement. "Ready to make this our masterpiece?" he asked, determined. "Definitely," Camino said, her eyes shining with excitement. "Let's turn this old stable into something incredible." They began carefully measuring every inch of the stable, like explorers uncovering secrets from a forgotten past. "Hey, come check this out," Carlos called from the far corner of the lower floor. He was crouched next to what looked like a trapdoor hidden under layers of dust and dirt. Camino rushed over, curious. Together, they pried open the heavy wooden door, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. "No way," she whispered, both excited and nervous. "A hidden cellar." Carlos flicked on his flashlight and started down the stairs, with Camino close behind. The air grew cooler as they descended, and the light beam revealed rough stone walls and a few cobwebs. At the bottom, they found a small round room with an arched ceiling. "This is incredible," Carlos said, amazed. "Look at these walls. This cellar might be even older than the stable itself." Camino's mind was already spinning with ideas. "Can you imagine turning this into a wine cellar or maybe a cozy little nook for rainy days?" Carlos looked around the small hidden space, running his fingers over the ancient stone walls. "This place has so much character," he said, his voice filled with awe. He turned to Camino, a spark of inspiration in his eyes. "Let's restore this stable's sister, But how would they incorporate this hidden space into their design and ensure its safety? As they climbed back up, Carlos and Camino exchanged a look. The project had just become more challenging, but also far more exciting. Over the next weeks, they threw themselves into planning, studying architectural plans, and consulting experts to ensure the building's safety. They debated how to preserve the stable's historic charm while creating a modern home. One of their biggest disagreements was over the massive wooden doors at the entrance, the same doors that had started this adventure. "We have to keep them," Carlos insisted, running a hand over the aged wood. "They're part of the magic, and in that photo we took on day one." Camino, ever practical, frowned. "I get it, but those doors have holes. Keeping the house warm will be a nightmare." They landed on a compromise. The original doors would stay as a decorative exterior feature, with energy-efficient glass doors installed just behind them. On warm days, both could open to connect the indoor and outdoor spaces seamlessly. As summer arrived, the renovation kicked into high gear. The quiet hills came alive with the hum of construction. Local workers, eager to help, brought traditional techniques to the project, but for every fix, a new problem arose, like the natural spring they thought would be an asset, turning into a design headache. "If I never see another water pump, it'll be too soon," Camino grumbled one evening, her hands covered in dirt from yet another plumbing issue. Carlos laughed. "Come on, sis, where's your sense of adventure? Just imagine how awesome it'll be when it's finished. A water system that runs on its own and looks beautiful too." Architects dream of this stuff. Over the months, the stable underwent a stunning transformation. The once animal-filled floor became a spacious living area, with sleek metal pillars adding a modern touch while preserving the old stone charm. Upstairs, the haylofts turned into cozy bedrooms with countryside views. Large windows filled the space with natural light, blending the indoors with the outdoors. The natural spring they worked so hard to incorporate became a standout feature, flowing through a stone channel inside the house before filling a natural swimming pool outside, both functional and serene. By fall, with cooler air and changing leaves, their massive project was finally nearing completion. "I can't believe we're almost done," Camino said one evening as they sat on their newly built porch, watching the sunset. "Remember when we first opened those barn doors? It feels like forever ago." Carlos smiled. "And now look at it. We took an abandoned stable and turned it into a breathtaking space." Just then, they heard noise outside the house. They rushed out to find some local villagers, their eyes wide in amazement as they admired the transformation. "We hope you don't mind," said one of the villagers. "We saw the lights on and couldn't help but take a peek. It's stunning." As Carlos and Camino gave a tour, they were overwhelmed by everyone's admiration. The villagers loved how they had kept the stable's original charm while turning it into a modern home. "You've brought new life to a piece of our history," a local historian said, tears in his eyes. "This is more than just a house. It's a reminder of how we can grow and change while still honoring our past." After their guests left, Carlos and Camino stood again in front of the same massive wooden doors they had opened months ago, revealing an empty stable. "Well, sis," Carlos said, putting his arm around Camino's shoulders, "shall we?" Together, they grabbed the iron handles and pulled the doors open smoothly, revealing not a dusty stable but a warm, welcoming home full of life. "You know," Camino said, her voice filled with emotion, "I think we did pretty well." Carlos laughed, pulling Camino into a hug. "Pretty well? We turned an abandoned stable into a masterpiece. I call that incredible." Standing in the doorway of their creation, they felt the weight of what they'd accomplished. This wasn't just a renovation, it was a tribute to the past, a celebration of the present, and a promise to the future. The stable, once forgotten and crumbling, now stood proudly as a blend of history and modern comfort. It wasn't just a building they transformed, it was a dream brought to life. They had taken a risk, trusted their instincts, and created something extraordinary, a space that proved the power of vision and determination. As they closed the stable's doors on this chapter, they couldn't help but wonder what other hidden treasures were waiting to be discovered, ready for someone to unlock their potential and bring them back to life. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.